Welcome to Okaloosa Eye on Crime. This month we're going to profile an unsolved vicious animal abuse case, a skateboarder who attempted an armed robbery, and dozens of suspects on the run.
We'll also talk about the work of school resource officers to find fresh approaches for preventing bullying.
And of course, you know the whole point of the show is to let you know that if you have any information about a crime that could lead to a wanted fugitive or the location of stolen property or any criminal activity, you can always contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers anonymously at 863-TIP, and you could be eligible for a cash reward of up to $1,000.
Let's get started with some of our high-profile cases. The first one is a very disturbing case with the Walton County Sheriff's Office. They're working to track down the person who shot and killed a family dog in the Mossy Head area. Back on September 14th, horseback riders discovered the body of a dog in a wooded area near Richardson Road in Mossy Head. The dog was identified as a 2-year-old Rottweiler named Hilo, who had gone missing from his home in Mossy Head the morning of September 12th. He had been mutilated and tortured in a vicious act of animal cruelty. Anyone with any information regarding this incident and who wants to be eligible, as Nicole says, for a cash reward of up to $1,000 can call Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers at 863-TIPS. And of course, remember, you can report anonymously online at emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com or text TIP 214 plus your tip to 274-637-CRIMES.
And of course, we also want to mention regarding the Hilo case that the Humane Society of the United States is also offering a $12,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest in this case. So keep that in mind. Could get up to $13,000 in that case.
Yes, hopefully that'll motivate someone to come forward and do the right thing.
That's right. And next up, we're looking for some Crestview theft suspects. On October 31st at about 12 a.m., 1 male and 2 females entered the Walmart Supercenter up there on Verdun Boulevard in Crestview. Now, they placed several items consisting of electronics, jewelry, and household goods valued at more than $2,000 into their cart, tempted to leave the store without payment. Now, when they were confronted by a sales associate, they forcefully fled the store. Now, anybody who knows the identity of these theft suspects can contact the Crestview Police Department or, of course, Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers anonymously.
Crime Stoppers in the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office need help regarding the theft of a Trans Am in Destin. This happened back on October 22nd around 11:20 in the evening. A black 1979 Pontiac Trans Am was stolen from a lot located at the intersection of Gulf Star Drive and Emerald Coast Parkway. The car is very distinctive, has a new paint job and a custom painted ghost on the hood. It had a for sale sign in the windshield at the time, and it had been there for the past couple of months.
And next up, the Sheriff's Office is also investigating an armed robbery and shooting that took place near Lovejoy Road Business in Fort Walton Beach back on October 22nd. Now, the victim says he was entering his business there at 515 Lovejoy Road about 10:30 at night when he was approached by 2 black males wearing dark clothing and masks. Now, he says that one of the men pulled out a handgun, demanded his backpack. Now, the victim began to step back and run away, and he was shot in the back. And they did look for the suspect that evening. Unfortunately, were unable to find him. Anybody with information about those 2 individuals, give us a call, 863-TIPS.
And that victim did survive, by the way, and was okay, but still looking for the suspects in that. Next up, information is needed in a Fort Walton Beach boat theft case. This is the Fort Walton Beach Police Department looking for whoever stole a boat from a residence on Yacht Club Drive back on September 15th. It happened around 3 in the morning. A suspect approached the victim's boat docked from the water, the victim's boat dock from the water behind the residence and stole a 2008 Edgewater 32-foot boat. It was white in color. So if you have any information on that boat theft, please contact the Fort Walton Beach PD or Crime Stoppers.
And there's also an additional reward being offered, as you can see from the poster there, through the insurance company on that boat as well.
Extra incentive.
Yes. And next up, the Walton County Sheriff's Office is trying to identify this man that attempted to use a stolen credit card at the Walmart in Destin back on October 30th. Now, the credit card was actually stolen during a vehicle burglary that had occurred earlier that day in South Walton County off of Via Largo Street there in Santa Rosa Beach. So if you recognize that individual, give us a call.
And the Sheriff's Office is working to track down a man who robbed a Waffle House in Mary Esther. 3 employees and 1 customer were in the business when a white male wearing a worn-looking blue or gray hoodie and jeans went up to the cash register and handed the clerk a note demanding money. The suspect then took out behind the building heading east, got some cash in that robbery. He's described as a white male, about 5'10" to 6 feet tall, weighing between 180 to 200 pounds, had a chubby face, dark hair, and dark facial hair.
And the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is trying to find a skateboarder who attempted to rob a man over there off Roanoke Court. Now, this actually happened back on November 1st at about 2:15 a.m. Victim said he was walking up to his front door when a man approached him with a gun, pointed it at him, and demanded money. Now, the victim said he didn't have any money. The man turned and skateboarded off toward Carmel Drive, but the victim described the individual, the suspect, as 5'9" white male with facial hair in his early to mid-20s, weighed approximately 180 pounds, and was wearing dark shorts and a t-shirt. So anybody maybe knows somebody over there that they see skateboarding a lot, give us a call at 863-TIPS.
Yep, not your typical getaway vehicle.
That's right.
Next up, we have a story about a message that's a very common one. Don't bully your classmates. You hear it all the time. But the messenger that we had recently at several area schools came with a fresh face and a very fresh delivery method.
This is about bullying, okay? We know this is an everyday issue. We know it's an everyday issue in a teenager's life. So we want to show you a video real quick, and we'll go from there, okay? So give me your attention. We're going to show a video right now.
Motivational speaker and actor Chris Hollyfield, also known as Little Boogeyman on WWE SmackDown, has yet another focus: educating students about the emotional damage that can be caused by bullying. At 4'4", Hollyfield has had more than his fair share of it, but he didn't let it steal his happiness or his dreams of success. Now, using a mixture of music, videos, humor, and examples from his own life experiences, he encourages students to think about how their words and actions might affect another person and to take a more positive approach.
You can never bring that back once you push send. Once you post something on Facebook about someone, you can't bring that back. And think about the damage you just done to someone's life. You can't change that. It's gone forever. Think about what you put on Facebook or texting someone about somebody else, because you can destroy somebody's life. You can destroy someone's life. Think about what you do when you're on the computer, cyberbullying.
Choctawhatchee High School Resource Officer Deputy Tom Henry met Hollyfield at their SRO State Conference, and he asked him to bring his message to the students.
We talk to him constantly about treating each other with respect, which was, part of his message is treating each other with respect. On a daily basis, you have kids that come in and they've got a problem. They don't know how to handle it, so they look to us to try and handle it for them.
Henry says based on the students' questions and their reactions, Hollyfield seemed to truly have an impact and to give them food for thought that could make potential bullies think twice before they lash out.
And that really was a great message. I know we were there that day and really enjoyed his presentation as well. And of course, if any students do know about bullying going on in any of the area, Okaloosa or Walton County schools, you can certainly contact Student Crime Stoppers anonymously and get a cash reward of up to $500 in the student program.
And you said Crime Stoppers has in fact paid out
We sure have. Our board of directors has actually approved cash rewards for bullying tips that came in that actually led to administrative efforts in the schools.
Yeah, multifaceted approach to try and tackle this problem.
Exactly. Now, speaking of school resource officers, Destin Middle School Deputy Fagan Willis wanted his students to learn about some of the four-legged law enforcement officers.
That's right, and Sergeant Bob Dudley of the Sheriff's Office brought Deputy Tim Patterson and K-9 Dax out to put on a little obedience and apprehension show.
now we need some help finding some local wanted fugitives in Okaloosa and Walton counties. And we do want to remind folks that these individuals were wanted as of today's taping date, which is November 14th, 2013. Now, first up is Jermaine Carl Tape. He's a 23-year-old black male. He's wanted for carrying a concealed weapon, last known to live over in Fort Walton Beach.
Also looking for Montrez Anthony Hamilton, 20 years old, wanted for violating probation for a burglary charge. Hamilton was last known to live over on Wildwood Street in Mary Esther.
33-year-old Sean Lee Morse, who's wanted for violation of probation on the original charge of fleeing and eluding law enforcement, driving with license suspended or revoked, and possession of cocaine, last known to live on Garfield Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
Also looking for 19-year-old Anthony Earl Jackson Jr. He's wanted for violating probation for possession of cocaine. Jackson's last known address was Navy Street in Fort Walton Beach.
Johnny Ray Peters, who's wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for violation of probation on burglary to an unoccupied structure and criminal mischief, last known to live up in Crestview.
And another violation of probation or VOP, 22-year-old James Brandon Brock. That original charge was carrying a concealed firearm.
Investigators are looking for 29-year-old Jermarcus Antonio Hall, who's wanted for burglary with assault, battery, larceny, and vehicle theft, last known to live in Mary Esther.
Also, violation of probation for battery on an officer or firefighter, Hastel Michael Thacker II, 36 years old, last known to live in Crestview.
Next up is Mark Stephen Hansford, who is 58 years old. He's wanted for altering bank bill or note and theft.
Next up is a case from the Walton County Sheriff's Office. Carlos Urbina Suarez, 26 years old, wanted for larceny and burglary in Walton County.
And call 863-TIPS if you know where 31-year-old Katina Trenice Moore is. She's wanted for violation of probation on the original charge of grand theft.
And we're happy to announce that William Christopher Smith has been located since our last show.
But we're still looking for Brendan Tyler Spears, who's wanted for violation of probation for burglary and grand theft of a firearm, last known to live in Niceville.
Robert Clay Oglesby's last known address was in Baker. He's 49 years old and he's wanted for burglary and criminal mischief.
And the Walton County Sheriff's Office is looking for 52-year-old Buck Rogers, who's wanted on numerous fraud charges.
Angela Diane Fitzgerald is wanted for grand theft, uttering a forged instrument, and forging a bank check.
27-year-old Charles Keith Wallace, who's wanted for possession of a controlled substance without a prescription.
And call Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers if you know where to find Brittany Jo Wing. She's wanted for violating probation for trafficking in stolen property, providing false information to a pawnbroker, as well as grand theft.
And a familiar face to the show is Christopher Allen Chance, who we're still looking for. He's 38 years old. He's wanted for fraud, burglary, and dealing in stolen property, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
But next up, another success. We can take Casey Jackson Capps off the list. Capps has been located.
Still looking for Brandon Keyshawn Armstrong, who's wanted for felony violation of probation for manufacture, deliver cocaine with intent to sell, possession of cocaine, and possession of marijuana, last known to live on Greendale Avenue in Fort Walton Beach.
Mackenzie Harris, also known as Polo, is a suspect in a Crestview Police Department grand theft investigation. He's 24 years old. If you know where to find Harris, give us a call.
And the Walton County Sheriff's Office is still looking for Geronimo Bailon, who's a Hispanic male. He's wanted for failure to appear on the original charge of felony DUI and driving while license suspended or revoked, last known to live in Walton County.
And last up on this first list, Everett Hairston, 30 years old, wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for violating probation on an original charge of grand theft auto.
Now, one area of responsibility of the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office that many folks may not be familiar with is our civil process. Deputies get the call to serve thousands of types of paperwork each year, from evictions and warrants to domestic violence injunctions.
And Chaplain Larry Carter recently spent some time with Civil Process Server Deputy Lisa Worth to document a day with a deputy.
At the Sheriff's Office in the Civil Process Division, we serve two types of papers, enforceable and non-enforceable. Enforceable papers is a writ of possession. We have child pickup orders that are enforceable. We have injunctions. Injunctions are actually a very high demand paper that we have here in Okaloosa County. Basically, an injunction is what some people like to call a restraining order. It's basically to protect someone or someone who's in fear of somebody else, and it's to basically keep them or the other person away from them, or to protect them in some way temporarily. They usually issue a temporary injunction, and then there's a hearing, and both parties attend the hearing, and then the judge at that time decides if he's going to dismiss the injunction or let it be permanent. My hardest part of my job, the number one is to remove children from homes. The second one is to actually remove someone from their home when I have to do an eviction, especially if it's a foreclosure type eviction, when they're elderly and they've lived in their home for 35 years. I listen to what they tell me, I sympathize with them, and then unfortunately I have to go to the next paper. We're in here for about 9 hours a day. On an average, I serve about 200 papers a month. That's actually serving a paper. We receive more papers than that.
The Sheriff's Office is also looking to get the word out on its very excellent Explorers program. Now, this gives area teens ages 15 to 20 a chance to provide some community service as well as explore what law enforcement's all about.
Now, their service can also range from assisting with searches to helping at community events.
Okaloosa County Sheriff's Explorer Post 543.
Now, if you're interested in becoming an Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office Explorer, or you have any questions, you can call 651-7702, extension 503. Leave your name and number, and someone will contact you as soon as possible. Or you can also contact Deputy Tom Henry at 833-3614, extension 625.
And we have an application available at the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office website. Just go to sheriff-okaloosa.org, and you'll be able to find that.
Inspector George Collins was recently recognized by Sheriff Ashley for his work in obtaining 2 critical grants for the Sheriff's Office. The first was a $1.4 million U.S. Department of Justice grant. It funds salaries of 10 of the Sheriff's Office's 26 additional school resource officers, thereby preventing some agency layoffs. The second is a federal Operation Stone Garden grant for nearly $178,000 to help cover costs to assist U.S. Customs and Border Protection with smuggling interdiction. And now we've got our second list of fugitives that law enforcement is hoping you can help them locate. First up is 29-year-old Emmanuel Uribe Martinez, who's wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for violation of probation on the original charges of resisting an officer with violence and loitering and prowling.
Eric Arsenault was last known to live over in Walton County. He's 47 years old and he's wanted for violating probation on an original charge of grand theft auto.
And Jerome Williams, whose last known address was in Walton County, he's wanted for violation of probation on the original charges of grand theft, giving false name to law enforcement officer, and theft.
And here's one that's been on the list for a while. 24-year-old James Andrew Dubovy, wanted on an original charge of burglary, theft, and resisting arrest without violence, last known to live in Valparaiso.
Another familiar face is Stephen Vance Cartwright, who's wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for violation of probation on the original charge of grand theft.
Brad Dowdy used to live in Niceville, wanted for violating probation on charges of conspiracy to sell narcotics, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
26-year-old Jason Michael Oliver, who's wanted for violation of probation on the original charge of grand theft and uttering a forged check.
Short and sweet, Stephen George Bostick, wanted for fraud.
And 31-year-old Seth Michael Berger, who's wanted for failure to appear for child neglect without great harm, last known to live over in Mary Esther.
Melanie Phillips' last known address was in Fort Walton Beach. She's 47 and wanted for sale of cocaine.
Next up is John Henry Bonner, who's wanted by the Fort Walton Beach Police Department for grand theft and violation of Pawnbrokers Act.
Here's one we'd certainly like to see taken into custody. Daniel Arthur, 31 years old. He's wanted for felony neglect of an elderly or disabled adult without causing great bodily harm, possession of a controlled substance by misrepresentation or fraud, forgery, or deception, as well as theft.
Yeah, and that's been he's been on our list for quite a while as well. So, next up is Andrew Vincent Aikman, who's wanted for larceny, last known to live in Pensacola.
44-year-old Alexander Wise is wanted for VOP on charges of grand theft and misdemeanor fraud. Last known address was McFarland Avenue in Fort Walton Beach.
Call 863-TIPS if you know where 43-year-old Cassius Conan Weathersby is. He's wanted for uttering a forged instrument, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
And here's another VOP, charges of providing false information to a pawnbroker, false imprisonment, and grand theft. Samuel Edward Thompson III, last known address Shalimar.
Still looking for James Michael Stange, who's wanted for felony battery.
As well as still looking for Stephen Smelly, 35 years old, wanted for dealing in stolen property.
Last but certainly not least is 26-year-old Lonzel Knox, who's wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for aggravated battery. Now, if you've ever wanted to learn more about your sheriff's office, we're going to give you the perfect opportunity, because coming up January 2nd, 2014, we will be starting our Sheriff Citizens Academy.
That's right, and it runs through April 1st. That's Tuesday nights from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And it's here at the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office administrative building, that is in the training room, and that's right behind the Shalimar McDonald's. Very easy to find.
That's right.
It's an investment of time, but boy, does it pay off, because you're going to find out about the sexual predator in the gang unit, the fugitive task force, criminal investigations and crime scene, narcotics enforcement. Everybody's interested in the crime scene analysis because everybody watches it on the TV shows. We've got the Teen Driver Challenge program to talk about, DUIs, domestic violence, sex crimes. So you also get to ride along with the deputy, which is something a lot of people find very eye-opening when they get a chance to do that. You tour the courthouse, communications, and you get to go to the firing range. And that's not all.
It is. It's a whole lot to learn. People think, a lot when they think about the Sheriff's Office, they think about the patrol deputies, but there's so much more involved here at the Sheriff's Office. Now, you can visit our website at sheriff-okaloosa.org, go into the Services and Courses tab, and you will see the application. It's right there online. Of course, you can contact Ashley Bailey, our crime prevention specialist, to go ahead and put in your application, because it'll fill up quickly.
That's right, and usually a pretty good turnout, so go ahead and set up for that January 7th through April 1st, 2014. That's Tuesday nights from 6 to 9 at the Sheriff's Office. And that's going to do it for this month's edition of Okaloosa Eye on Crime.
We'll see you next time.